This is the MCRN Corrigan, a Morrigan-class patrol destroyer, named after Mark Corrigan, famous historian and author of Business Secrets of the Pharaohs. Do you get the reference? This was designed by Julie V., who has become an official Lego designer. So that's kind of exciting. I hope that at some point we see Expanse or Expanse-inspired Lego designs, but of course, I have no idea. We'll see. So this sub-build, which has got a lot of hinges and bricks with studs on them, is supposed to fit over this part, but of course this can't go in. So the instructions say to split this open. By the way, my coloration isn't the same as what's shown in the instructions. And then, presumably, we can kind of finagle this in there. And the bottom parts has some studs on the inside. So they kind of go in there, and then we close it back up. And there we go. That was scary. Wouldn't want to do that again. But here's a big sub build. This is going to be, I think, the aft part of the ship. Engine bell will be somewhere over here. And then on this end will be stuck, the front end of the ship. And note that this is only about half of it, I think. So we're on step 45. I just did step 44, which is putting these plates in place. And it's a little nerve-wracking because I'm afraid this structure here is going to buckle. The solution I found is to squeeze. So there's this structure going all the way through. And so if I squeeze from top to bottom, then it holds these in place really well. It prevents them from buckling. And that way I can securely attach this plate without worrying about this structure underneath totally collapsing. Oops. See there, it collapsed a little bit because I wasn't squeezing on the framework here, squeezing here and here, which holds these parts together. There we go. There's a 2x4 and a step 100. We've got a couple of these assemblies, and the directions are a little unclear. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to put these little structures under here, like that. So that here's our pair of structures. And now for step 101, they are put in place on this sub-build. And now these two parts go together, these two sub-builds. So some landmarks to note. This little piece is just a little behind or in front of this red brick. And when we fold over these hinges, they are just behind this gray 1x6. So pretty sure this is more or less it for now. And then we kind of jimmy this piece right over here and attach those. There we go. Perfect. Now we're going to put these two pieces together. So this big tab slides into the hole, and these various axle pieces slide into the cross-shaped holes in these bricks. But first, these were shown to be shoved in all the way. They have to be out a little bit. We can put these two pieces together fairly readily, and then we push these in, and they're locked together. So here's the big skeleton for this ship. Step 159, a 1x2 plate should be right here, but it would just kind of float in space because there's nothing to support it. So instead one has to use a little stack of 1x2 plates, and the directions don't indicate this. And in the same step, one is required to put a couple 1x2 plates out here. Once again, there's no support. In step 172 and 173, we create this set of gun barrels. And this was a little tricky to build. So this piece is a 6-stud long piece with a stop kind of thing here, and then there are 2 round studs with holes in them going into the barrel, into this rubber tire. This rubber tire is piece 30028, and then there are 6 of these bars. These are 4 studs long, and the way I put this together, I tried to capture it on film, but I couldn't. I started off with 4 of these bars in there and then pushed this piece in, and it was not centered at all. I pushed the other 2 rods in place so that there were a total of 6 plus this one, and then I basically just forced this to go into the middle, forced them around, and there was a little bit of a snappy sound, and then we ended up with this nice gun barrel, and there are 2 of them. And here's an intermediate step. I discovered that these 2 round studs actually had to stick out a little bit. So that 6-stud long piece is going like all the way to here. And to get it to go in all that way, I kind of pushed this beam, this bar in there to push it backward. And it's sort of like trying to load an old-time musket or rifle. So now we're putting in place these parts of the outer hull. We've got the point defense cannon, which has great details. It can rotate around. It can sort of go up and down. Kind of. It works. And anyway, we're gonna put this in place. I like to think of this part as the inner hull. So like this is where all the people are, and then this is outer hull getting stuck to the outer part. This might be a little tricky to do. Once again, I'm squeezing up here and at the bottom to make sure that that inner hull doesn't buckle. And this is actually going better than I thought. And now we do the same thing on the other side. So here we go. Looking pretty cool so far. And now we've got the point defense cannons in place. There's only 2 on this class of ship. Looking very sleek. So now we're at step 226, and we're putting together parts of the airlock. And note that there's going to be this sort of hole here, a square hole, which is where part of the stand will go. And I thought this was tricky enough to warrant talking about a little bit. So building each of these little halves, this half is already secured, it starts off in several pieces, like four pieces, I think. And eventually all of them end up getting kind of put together like this. It's a fairly complicated shape, so take the time with building these pieces to make sure that you are following the directions, and note that they're going to be separate pieces for a little while until finally they come together. And now we're putting these together, and this bottom part is fairly straightforward because this tile serves as a guide. So these bricks with the studs on the side are going to fit up here. Pretty straightforward. But at the top, it's a little less than straightforward because here we have 1 brick with a stud on the side, and it actually goes right in the middle where there's that little tiny peg kind of thing sticking out of the middle of that plate. So that little sort of peg thing is going into that hole. And in this way, everything lines up and it looks good. It's flat on the bottom. We've got something that looks like an airlock with a hole in it. Airlock door, I guess I should say. And there's going to be a wedge piece put up here, and the rest of this is looking good. Here's the other hole for the stand. So there's going to be 2 holes for the stand, which hopefully are on either side of the center of mass of this spaceship. So by this point, we've got some nice angled pieces here, and it's a compound angle because it's angled relative to this, but also there's this subtle little change in the angle from here to here. And this part in the ventral part of the ship, this is really satisfying. We click this in here and right here, and it's a really sturdy angle. Very, very stable. It just fits together so well and looks really cool. So we're about to attach this panel or plate assembly to these studs and then also these studs down here. Now the problem is that these studs, these are some bracket kind of pieces, and when I press down on this part, it's gonna give way pretty easily. So here's my little secret technique. I put this piece in place. This is not part of the directions, and this, it's easily removed, but it holds these little bracket kind of things in place. They're solidly locked in, and now with any luck I can attach this big plate assembly. And once more, I'm squeezing from the top and bottom while putting this in place, starting off at the top or the forwardmost section and then going backward, going backward to put these in place. And there we go. So now this front part of the spaceship is done, or at least it's pretty close to done, and it's looking super cool. In steps 370 and 371, we're attaching these parts. I really love this color matching here. This looks really cool, the orange, the gray, and then the black. But I've modified the attachment process a little bit. I find it works better for me to detach these things to kind of clear the way. See all these bars here, they're now exposed. And now it's quite a bit easier to get these clips into place. And then we kind of straighten things out, push them into place, straighten things out a little more. Okay, so see here, these clips didn't quite make it in there. It's actually kind of hard to get the clips to attach to the bars. Okay, now I think we've got it. And then we do the same thing with this little chunk. This one tends to go in easier because it's only 3 sets of those clips instead of 4. And now, once everything's in place, we can reattach those parts that I took off. And now we'll do the same thing on the other side. And there we have it. It's a pretty nice shape. It's got this nice sort of prism shape to it. And see here, I had to remove this whole panel to get these corner pieces to get in place. So maybe the corner pieces should have gone first, I don't know. But I think we're at the point now where this entire triangular structure is put together. Fiddly to put together, but very cool looking. And it might also be a good idea to build the stand first so that one can put this onto the stand, because it's has a lot of trouble just kind of standing on its own. One thing I would like to lay to rest maybe a little is this idea that the ventral side, where here's the airlock, has a major blind spot. So like, here's the point defense cannons. Let's say the camera's point of view is you and you're trying to approach that airlock, trying to sneak into the blind spot. And my camera is not very far away from that airlock. It's like 30 centimeters away. And well, here's the point defense cannons. I think that a spaceship trying to approach the airlock, here's Rocket, he's trying to get in, without getting shot down would have to already be so close to the airlock. There's just no way to approach the ship from anywhere without getting shot down by a point defense cannon. So this ventral area, not really much of a blind spot. The ship has a great shape to it. It really captures the Morrigan-class patrol destroyer. It's got 2 point defense cannons. On the ventral side, it's got that airlock. On the front surface, it's got the 2 torpedo tubes and also some sensors and antennas and telescope things. I imagine each torpedo tube has a magazine of maybe only 2 or 3 torpedoes for a grand total of 4 to 6. There's just not enough room on the ship to have a huge torpedo loadout. It's got these things that look like air vents. They aren't air vents because it doesn't make sense for a fusion-powered spaceship to have air vents, but here they are. And maybe they're places for launching like a little grappling kind of thing, like a rope. I mean, not literally a rope, but a cable. Or probes. That's what I'm going with for now. If you have better ideas or different ideas, put them in the comments. And it has this cool shape where it's got a triangular cross section in the front, and we see here it's flat on the dorsal surface, and then as it transitions to the back, it gradually changes the triangular shapes in a sort of crystal prism-like way. So like this surface gets wider as we get to the PDCs, and then finally it's the whole surface right here. So that's pretty awesome. I just love that design. And that's the work of the visual designers on the Expanse series, and then Julie V doing a really good job capturing those details. We also have a well-shaped engine bell at the back. It's very circular in cross-section, so that's nice. Some features that I like that I just want to point out that are super cool in how this Lego design came to be. So right here, all the way out to the gray, this is all one solid structure that's built out of different plates and tiles, and then out here are some tiles. But then it meets up with these little angled kind of roof pieces. And I had to substitute. I didn't have enough of these 1x2, so I used these 1x1s. Anyway, they meet up so smoothly. Look at that angle there. It's almost perfect. It's so great. I love it. The point defense cannons, as I pointed out in the construction video, they can rotate around. They're lightweight enough that they don't droop, even though these rotating things slide around really easily. Also, they can kind of point up and down a little bit. They're on a articulated sort of hinge. My copy here, I had to make a few color substitutions. Like I didn't have any orange plates like this, so I used this. Also, this little gray piece, it comes in orange, but I think the most recent set that it came in was in 2015. So I just said, screw it, we're doing gray, and that's fine. Another parts substitution that I'm going to point out, these portions right here, these little wedge plates, they look pretty cool. I assume they're reaction control thrusters, but the directions called for a part that hasn't been used in a Lego set since maybe 2011, so I decided not to go for that and just went with these. They look fine. It's cool. Now let's take it off the stand. I actually built the stand a tiny bit shorter than what the directions called for. I just didn't want to use my really long Technic bricks. And let's check out that ventral surface. The ship is strong enough to stand on its engine bell, although don't leave it like that. It's not really intended for that, so I assume it would eventually slip or break. Here's the big holes for the display stand to stick its little peg thingies. And also, I brought this up in the build video. I'll briefly mention it here. This idea that the ventral surface of the ship is a substantial blind spot. And so here we are looking at the ventral surface, and check out those point defense cannons. They're pointed right at you. This isn't much of a blind spot. Maybe a little bit if you're super close, like right here, then okay, fine. But first you have to approach the ventral side. So it's not much of a blind spot. Maybe it's not a blind spot at all. Really neat ways of creating these elaborate shapes using just tiles and bricks and plates. It's such a great design. I love it.